We got some fun mail. We had Gabby from our community send us this super cool package. Erin, it's stationery.
We love stationery.
Right? We love stationery so much. And she sent all of these fun things. There's notepads and pencils. It's a deep box full of stuff.
Is it our birthday?
I just went to the PO box and there was these things and I was so excited because usually it's junk mail. And then the lady's like, stand by, you have a package. And she went and presented this to us.
This is
Like,
amazing. Okay, first of all, I'm never going to see these items because Carrie's going to steal them all, which is fair because when people send us donuts, Carrie never gets any. So fair.
greeting cards, the whole
Oh
they're
my
like
gosh.
funny. These are cheeky cards like that we would send. Like, congrats, you survived. You're really hot. And we both know I'm always right.
Oh, that's great.
So cute. The other thing that I thought was cool in here was these. Like if you're going to gift a bottle of wine or something,
Yeah.
there's like little wine topper things, like cards that you put on the wine bottle when you gift it to somebody. Wine is always a good idea. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy wine, and that's pretty much the same thing. How cute.
So cute. Okay. So if you are listening to the podcast, you're not going to be able to see these things. You just have to use your imagination. So click over on the link in the show notes so that you can head to YouTube and see Gabby's cool things. So she what has an Etsy shop or where does she sell these
Yeah,
things?
she's got an Etsy shop. And so I went and, of course, stocked it immediately. And I'm like, I love all the things, Gabby. This is very cool. Thank you for being so sweet. Thank you for being part of our community. And thanks for
Yes.
these fun things. And you're right. I'm probably never getting any of them to you.
Hi, my name is Alyssa. I am a newbie to get the hell out of debt, but definitely not a newbie to attempting to get the hell out of debt. I found this course a week ago, and so far it has truly felt like such a great fit for me. I feel like this is a course in a community that will let me be myself and integrate a lot of these aspects that I'm already interested in, so it doesn't feel like totally brand new, but a way to bring them all together in a way that brings me to where I want to be. And I'm so excited to see what comes out of this and what I'm capable of and really transform my confidence and my financial life and just my entire life in general.
Welcome, Alyssa. We're so glad you're here. And also, I would never want you to be anyone other than Alyssa. So I'm so glad that you feel at home.
It's very cool that you found us, and it's cool that you're listening to the podcast. We're happy you're here.
It must be so weird to be like a longtime listener of the podcast. You leave us a voicemail, and one day you tune into the podcast and you hear yourself on the podcast. Let's play your voicemail. It's so cool.
Yeah, but we love the voicemails. We love the voice text so, so much. They're our favorite thing. We both listen to every single one, and we're thrilled when they come through. So thank you, Alyssa, for taking the time to do that for us.
We truly do have the best community. We're going to answer a question today from one of our community members. And of course, once you become part of the Get the Hell Out of Debt community, which you can do, all the instructions are in the show notes for you. Basically, you can post in our community and the community itself will reach out and answer questions when they know the answer to them or if they feel like they can help or support in some way. And we get eyeballs on them too. So every now and then we pull one and we'll answer it here for you.
Frances wrote in our group and she asks, how do you know if you have a good financial advisor? I've had the same guy for years. Sometimes I feel like a very small fish in his pond of big fish. My overall growth is 5% these last 4 years. I'm in a moderate investment portfolio. He says with all the fluctuations, that's pretty normal. I hear of these people that make loads of money, so I really ponder this. I'm going to try some investing on my own, but it's super scary to me.
Okay. There's so much here. I know it just sounds like a couple of sentences, but there's actually so much here. So the first question, how do you know if you have a good financial advisor, is really what you're asking ultimately at the end of the day, because you only know the results you have. You don't know the results you could have. You can't really A/B test a good financial advisor. So it's like one of those things where you're really trying to make a good decision from the start. The most important thing is your financial advisor should be somebody who's fully licensed and does more than simply investment advising. They need to be somebody who understands taxation, they understand estate planning. They understand everything from where you are right now to what happens beyond the grave, because there's so many consequences to your financial decisions even after you're gone. So somebody that understands that and can help you put a plan together for your life today, what you want retirement to look like, and what you want to leave behind or how you want to leave things behind is going to be really important. So make sure that you don't just have simply somebody who's selling you investments, but that somebody who understands how every investment is taxed and the strategies beyond your tax deferred growth strategies and your tax-free growth strategies that we always talk about inside the Get the Hell Out of Debt program. And having the same person for years can be helpful because, you said, I've had the same guy for years, which can be good because now you can see year-over-year returns and see what's happening and have annual meetings with them. And if there's any changes to your finances, you know who to call and you can deal with all of that. But sometimes I feel like a very small fish in his pond of big fish is typical if you are dealing with your average person's portfolio. As it turns out, the average financial advisor has between 100 and 250 clients.
Hmm.
So, of course, you're going to feel like a small fish in a lot of cases because they have to have that many in order to kind of earn a living
Right.
in most cases. You will sometimes run into really experienced investment advisors, and they usually have high net worth clients. We're talking 10 million or more in investable assets, and they'll usually have 10 to 20 clients. You're going to get a much different experience when you're in that status of investments. So it's okay that you feel like a small fish. Their job is to take their small fish and make them into bigger fish. So that needs to be happening. When you've said my overall growth is 5% these last 4 years, I'm in a moderate investment portfolio. He says with all the fluctuations, that's pretty normal. He's right. For a moderate investment portfolio, that is pretty accurate. A question you got to ask yourself is 5% going to get you where you want to be financially? And how much time do you have? So, depending on your age, your investment advisor is going to ask you a series of questions related to how much risk you can tolerate and when you're going to need the money. And their job is to match make you with the right portfolio. Because if you can't handle a lot of risk, they're going to put you in either a conservative portfolio or a moderate portfolio, which he's done here, meaning you don't want to lose a penny on this money. Whereas if you are in an aggressive growth portfolio, you're like, yeah, I can totally handle a fluctuation, meaning this thing can go down 30%, doesn't matter to me, but I'm also willing to risk that because I believe potentially having a 15% increase or a 30% increase might be okay. Here's what some people think. They think in order to have those high rewards, I have to gamble all the time. And that's not what it's about. It's about being willing to have the money in for a long enough time period that if the market tumbles a bit, which it does all the time, every couple of years, there's a cycle. Every few months, there's a different cycle. There's all these different cycles in the market that cross over with each other and kind of meet at certain points, which cause certain dips and things to happen in the economy. So you don't want to be at a big, big dip and suddenly be retired and needing your money. You want to at least have something that you can live on for a certain period of time if everything is dipping. So what your investment advisor has done is you've obviously said that either you need the money in less than 10 years or you don't want to lose any of the dollars ever. So that's why you're in that portfolio. And that is pretty much what the returns tend to be in that portfolio. Here's the questions you need to go back to your investment advisor with. Do you want more? I know you do. Why wouldn't you want more?
More
of
what? What do I want more of?
more of this. Come hang out in the online course for Get the Hell Out of Debt. The link is in the description. You just got to click it, sign up, and we'll see you in there. You have to ask the investment advisor if you were all of a sudden to switch some of this money, and I wouldn't put all of it, because if you're a very conservative person or you do need this money in 10 years or less, you don't want to start now investing all of it really aggressively, but you have missed out, unfortunately, on time in the past. We've missed out on some opportunities there. Now, we can't look in the rearview mirror. Okay, we can only deal with where we are today and where we want to go, but it could be worth it. I don't know if your portfolio, let's say, is worth $100,000. It could be worth it to take some of that money, 50% of it, let's say, and start investing that more aggressively while still having 50% of it very conservative. Let's say, for example, you're 60 years old, Francis. I don't know how old you are, but let's imagine you're 60 years old and you were planning on retiring at 65. what we have to know too is this investment that you're in going to give you the money that you're going to need to the age of 99, presuming you live that long, which I think you will. I always tell people, put at least 99, because why would we shoot for anything less,
Yeah,
right? Let's
exactly.
go for 99 years. People are living over 100 these days, right? Let's be wise. So I also want you to build the type of money machine that doesn't draw down on funds. I know a lot of people, when they're building their investment portfolio, the numbers that the financial planner is running is saying, okay, you're going to have this amount of dollars until the age of 89, and then you'll have $0. Like they'll start drawing down the savings. I don't want you to do that. I want you to build the money machine so strong that you never have to dwindle the principal, that you're only ever living off the interest in your old age. That's what I want you to do. But that's a personal philosophy. There's lots of personal philosophies out there. There's people who believe you should die with zero. There's all kinds of things out there, and you got to choose the one for you. But I'm a big believer in, I'm not going to work this hard only for me. I'm going to work this hard to make my life mean something for my children and my children's children and my children's children's children. Why wouldn't I get them a little bit further ahead and have them get their children a little bit further ahead if we can make life easier for other people? Because you just don't know. I might have a grandchild with a certain disability, or we don't know what other people are going to be able to do or not do. And why wouldn't I, while I'm on earth, work as hard as I can to make other people's lives easier? Personal philosophy, yours may be different. But what you want to know is this growth that I've had and is this portfolio going to last me my whole entire life? And if not, what do I need to be doing now to have better returns? Because maybe this has got everything you need. Maybe your expenses in retirement are going to be covered by this portfolio. And so it's growing at 5%. So who cares? You've got enough now, you don't need the risk. That's okay too. But what you really want to know is, if you've got a goal, if you need to have a certain amount in your life by the time you're 80 or 90, you still have 20 years of investment time horizon. So make some of that money work for you. Don't be scared off by the 65 number. Put some of that money to work for you. So I think that's the big thing, is you got to go back to this investment advisor and be like, listen, I am willing to handle a little more risk because of the shortened time horizon, not in spite of it. And so having that conversation is going to be worth it. Now, I love that you said I'm going to try investing on my own, super scary to me, but the same thing is going to happen. It's not about investing with the financial advisor. None of this is the financial advisor's fault. You told the financial advisor certain pieces of information that made them lead to this result. So now if you go out and you invest on your own, even if you use one of the amazing products out there that allows you to invest on autopilot or something like that, it's going to ask you the same questions. And if you answer it in the same way, you're going to end up with the same portfolio, just now in two places. And it's really important that your financial advisor knows about this investing that you're going to be doing on your side, because sometimes there's disadvantages tax-wise if you go over your contribution limits. Let's say for your IRA, or in Canada for your TFSA, or in the UK for your ISA, or your superannuation in Australia. If you go over your limits, now there's tax penalties. So you haven't really solved a problem, you've created a bigger one. So you need to really be clear on your risk and your time horizon first. You need to understand what's going on with the investments that you have and why you're invested in those. And you need to have the conversation about, do I need 100% of my portfolio in this moderate kind of style of investing? Or is there an opportunity to kind of break some of this up and have some of that money more moderately invested, but some of it more aggressively invested, so that I can potentially see some bigger returns? Knowing that while you're still working, before you retire, you can continue to contribute and pour money into that portfolio so that you can maximize not only the dollars that are already in there, but the future dollars that you're going to be investing also.
Also, just congratulations, Frances, the fact that you've been investing for 4 years. Good for you.
It's a lot easier now for Frances to look at this and be, here's what's going on, and kind of have an understanding, than somebody who's never started.
Mhm.
That's why it's important to just start. Sometimes people are like, what do I invest in? And I'm like, well, here's a couple options, but get started.
Mhm.
And we always teach you to start with money that you weren't planning on retiring with. We tell you to take your blow money, or money that you were going to waste. Take a little bit of that, $100, $200, and start there. And then once you're in the game and you kind of know what's going on, now we're going to look at things, because it's a lot easier for you to understand when you're in the game. It's like people who watch the Olympics, as we all just did last month, right? We're watching the Olympics. I watched surfing for 4 days straight. I acted like I've actually successfully completed a barrel. I never have. I'm always upside down, wedgie in, sinuses full of salt water, right? And here I am on the couch being like, well, you know what you need to do. And then my husband's next to me. He's like, oh, that was a good ride. And I'm thinking, you've never even been on a surfboard. So I was being hard on myself for the advice I was giving this Olympic athlete. I thought, you have no idea why that person's foot went like that. You've never even been on a board in a wave. So it helps to have at least been out on the ocean to have some sort of context for what's going on. It's the same thing with investing. You've got to have some money in the market to really pay attention and to really be understanding, because there's a lot of armchair experts out there, and we really want to be careful that you are fully invested in your own financial future, because like you say, your investment advisor has a lot of clients, and ultimately you care more about the results than even they do.
When it comes to actually finding a financial advisor too, I think one of the best pieces of advice that you've had is that if you're asking, let's say on Facebook, and you're asking your friends who they recommend, same as anything, if you're looking for a recommendation, it's not just who do you know, be specific in your ask and ask who they've used or who has had success. We don't want great Uncle Joe to be the guy that we go and do all our money stuff with if it's just somebody's uncle and they're recommending them because they feel like they should. It needs to be somebody that can personally vouch for somebody else.
Yes, absolutely. They have to have gotten somebody results. That's what you're asking, is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just who's a good investment advisor. Tell me the name of an investment advisor you've used that's gone above and beyond for you, that has gotten you results beyond your expectations. That's who you're going to use. That's who your call is going to be to. And you're going to interview 2 or 3 before you make your decision. But they should all be able to come up with projections for you and give you an idea of what to expect before you engage with them or send them any money.
Do we have to go in and meet with them, or can we just do these questions and answers over email? I feel like that's a lot of work to go to these offices and actually meet with these people.
It depends on the state or province that you live in the country that you live in, but usually you do have to have met with them at least once
Mm.
because of fraud and all kinds of other things. They take your identification and they have to do a profile on you. So it's a great question, but for the most part, you have to do some sort of identity meeting one-on-one. And there are robo advisors, like brokerages, that I know people think that that's a robot that sort of, beep, boop, boop, does all the investing for you, but you're still sending in your identification and uploading all of that. But I just say it's important for you to meet them. I know it feels like a lot of work, but sometimes it's a 10, 15-minute meeting, but you can tell a lot by who they are across the desk from you versus their headshot on a web page somewhere. So I would say it's well worth, if we're talking about millions of dollars in potential retirement money, it's worth the 10 minutes one time to go sit across from them and get a sense of who they are.
That's
What you're
fair.
looking for is whether there's pictures of their family on their desk.
Mm. Oh, that's good. Yes.
You're looking to see what their office smells like. Is their garbage can full of wrappers and garbage, right? How do they treat their receptionist? There's things that you can't tell unless you meet somebody in person, and it's absolutely worth the meeting.
These were very good pieces of information, and I have taken copious notes on all of my brand new stationery.
On all of our brand new stationery.
That's what you think.